guys, so I'm starting today's video off with no eyeshadow on because today I wanted to sit down and try out the Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette for the first time on camera. It is so pretty, you guys, so I just thought I'd sit down and try it out. Now I'm not going to include any swatches or anything like that because I feel like every single beauty vlogger that has purchased this palette has actually posted swatches of it, and mine are going to be exactly the same. So what I'm going to do instead is, while I'm doing my makeup and trying this out, I thought I'd just share my overall thoughts and opinions on Morphe and their products. So if you guys are interested in seeing what I think of this palette and also just Morphe in general, then simply keep on watching. So Morphe allowed everyone to order a maximum of 3 palettes per order, which worked out well for myself personally because I actually went in with 2 other girlfriends and got 3 palettes so we could all split the shipping. Now Morphe's shipping is literally ridiculous. So I've ordered from them I think on 3 other occasions and it varied between about $22 and $30 for shipping. I actually think the most I've paid is $28 for shipping, so $22 to $28. And I was expecting to pay roughly the same, and I actually jumped on their site and added like 3 palettes to my cart so I could get an estimate of what the shipping would be, and it said $65. You guys, I nearly pooed my pants because I was like, $65 for shipping when the palette is $38. I was like, what drugs are you on? I literally like posted it on my Instagram and on my Snapchat because I was just like, no way, that can't be right. And thankfully, when I finally actually got online when this launched and we checked out, it was only I think around $35 for shipping, which is still ridiculous in my opinion, don't get me wrong, that is crazy, but it was a lot less of a hurt on the hip pocket compared to $65. So once we actually split the total cost 3 ways including shipping, we ended up paying 60 Australian dollars each for this palette, which, considering this is supposed to be a super inexpensive brand, that is very expensive. The Ciate Chloe Morello palette is $61 Australian dollars, so it's the same price as that, and that's a high-end brand. So I mean, look, I'm not mad at the $60, but at the same time it is a little bit pricey, and if you didn't have someone to split shipping with, then it would have been way more, probably more like closer to 100 Australian dollars for you just to have this palette, which is crazy in my opinion. But anyway, the shipping is probably the one thing that annoys me the most with Morphe. I just don't understand how they actually work out their prices and how it's justified, because I don't know, it's just so much money. In saying that, it arrived super quickly. Once they actually packed it and shipped it, it was to me in the Central West, so in the country, I think it took 5 business days, which was amazing from the US. I will give them credit, it was super fast shipping, so maybe it's because it's priority shipping. I don't really know. I'm not sure of the actual facts behind why it's that amount. I just think it's really expensive. It's really expensive. So let's talk about the actual packaging of the palette. Now I personally like the aesthetic of it. It's a little bit hard for you guys to see the writing. Oh no, there you go. You can see it. So I think it's a really pretty palette. I don't mind the white. The only problem is because it's cardboard, it's not like it's going to be an easy palette to keep clean. If it was plastic, you'd be able to wipe it down if you got makeup on it. I'll also note too, the palette is a lot smaller than what I was expecting it to be. It looks so big on camera. Like, I mean, I know it's like bigger than my head. Obviously, it's not a small palette by any means. I'm not saying it's a small palette. I just thought they were bigger. That's just an observation. But also the shades in the palette are a lot darker than what I've seen in pictures. So what you see on camera now, I feel like that's quite true to color what's currently on my little monitor. Definitely very true to color what I can see. So it's a lot darker in person than what I'd seen online. So obviously a lot of overexposed photos were a little bit misleading, just a little bit. But the colors, I just stabbed myself in the face. Calm down, Hannah. Calm down, I'm getting too excited. It's not like they're not nice colors. They're still just as beautiful as what I thought. They're just darker than what I was expecting. Now, a lot of people have said they wish this palette had a mirror. For me personally, even though I said I thought it was gonna be bigger, this palette's still too big in my opinion for a mirror. There's no way I would sit there and hold this mirror and hold this and do my makeup. It's too big. So I actually think the fact they don't have a mirror in it is probably a smart decision. And also I guess the whole reason why the packaging is cardboard in the first place is because they were trying to keep the cost a little bit lower. I know a lot of people have said the $38 versus the usual, I think $22 to $25 for a Morphe palette was ridiculously overpriced, but I think it probably makes sense that it's a little bit more expensive because they probably had to go outside their norm to manufacture this. So even though it's cardboard packaging and it doesn't have a mirror, and even though the shadows are the same ingredients but pressed differently, it probably still cost more to make. I think a lot of people sort of forget the ins and outs of manufacturing when passing judgment on things like pricing. I'm not claiming to be an expert by any means. I don't know what their production costs are, but I don't think they would have hiked the palette up to $38 just because it was Jaclyn. I think it would definitely be because the manufacturing costs of this in general were probably higher than their normal plastic middle of the run bulk order palettes, if you guys get what I'm saying. I did get one of the little sheets with all the shadow names, in saying that I can only just read them because they're so small because I get sore eyes, but I did get one. However, I only got one in my box. So even though I ordered 3 palettes, I only got 1 card. So that was, I was kind of like, come on, give us 1 card per palette, because then at least I could stick it on the back like that, which I probably will do. I think I will actually stick it on the back, even though I don't want to ruin the packaging. It would just be really practical to have smack on the back there. That's one thing I like hate about palettes that don't have names on them. I just wish they would print the names on the actual palette itself, but looking at it, I don't think they actually would have fit. So if the palette had been a little bit bigger, they would have been able to fit it, but because all the shadows are so close, I don't think you would have actually been able to fit it in this particular size. So that's probably why they didn't put the shadow names on the palette. But yeah, so I'm not really sure what sort of look I want to create today. I think I want to use the purple because everyone I've seen has been using like all the warm tone shades, and I've seen people using the warm tone shades mixed with these tealy colors, but I think I might go the purple just to be a little bit different. So let's just start actually putting my eye makeup on now, and I'll like chat while I'm doing my eye makeup. So also, 2 things. If I sound wheezy and you hear me taking really deep breaths, I'm sorry. I'm still sick from like that terrible cold I have. I've got like a really bad cough still, and it drives me insane, and I've got my Ventolin, I'm on antibiotics and everything, but it hasn't gone away yet. It's getting better, but it hasn't gone away yet. And also, FYI, my eyes are really red this morning. I don't know if they're going to calm down or not. I have a genetic eye disease, if you didn't know, so please don't be nasty about my eyes in the comments section. I can't help it. Meesman's corneal dystrophy, it's a genetic eye disease. It's just a thing, and it's one of the symptoms. So we'll just cruise past that. I just thought I'd let you know because they are very red, and people always like to point out when I have red eyes or say I'm stoned or something, which I don't do drugs, so don't be saying that because I'm a good girl. Okay, so I think I'm going to start off with this shade here as my transition shade. I'm not even going to bother telling you the names because like half the people that received this palette didn't receive this card. I've seen lots of complaints about that, so I'm not even going to bother telling you the shade names. I'll just point to what one it is in the palette. I'm going to be using my Tapered Blending E40 brush by Sigma. All the brushes I'll be using are Sigma brushes because, as you know, they're my favorite, and I do have a discount code with them, so if you want 10% off, you can just enter Hannah all year round on Sigma Beauty and it'll take 10% off your orders. So like I said, E40, this is a large fluffy blending brush. This is my favorite brush to use for my first transition color. And on the top row, 3rd shade in, I'm going to be taking that shade as my transition color and just blending it all through the crease. Now, I have used Morphe shadows before. None of the actual like pre-made palettes, only the individual pans. I have a Z palette actually, which I'll show you shortly. I have a Z palette with all individual shadows in it. And I like the formula of them. They're really nice. Like I don't have any complaints with them. The only thing is they do have like a very cosmetic-y smell, which I've said a couple of times actually in videos about the Morphe shadows I own. They just have that funny sort of powdery cosmetic smell, which, speaking of, this one doesn't have it. These don't smell the same. So I'm not sure if the formula of the actual single shadows is different to the formula of the shadows in the pans, like in the pre-made palettes. I mean, it could be. It actually could be. So that transition shade is blending really nicely. It's just that really nice soft shade, a perfect transition color. So this is my Z palette with all my Morphe individual pan shadows in it. So every single shadow in this is Morphe. Yeah, see, these definitely smell different to the other ones. They smell very, very powdery and they smell like cheap makeup, but they're really good. Like, they have beautiful pigmentation. The matte shades in particular in these individual pans are bomb. The shimmers are just, they're just shimmers. Like, they're nothing special. And the thing is, I feel like bad when I give critiques on shimmers because I love foiled shadows, so shimmers just never compare to a foil shadow, so I really don't use shimmer shadows. I either use like Makeup Geek foiled shadows, or I use like the Stila liquid metal eyeshadows now because they're like glittery. Like, if I want something shimmery, I want it to be like bam, otherwise I just wear all matte. So their shimmers aren't bad, they're just... So I'm going to now go in with the other transition shade on the same brush next to it, so the fourth colour in. I just stuck my finger in one of those shadows. That's the bad thing about long nails. So I'm going to take this one now and run it through exact same area on my eyeballs, just to build up that crease a little bit more, build up a little bit more definition. So I'm going to go in now with a little bit more of a defined brush. This is the Sigma Blending E25 brush. So it's a little bit more tapered and a little bit more dense. And I tend to like to use this brush when I'm trying to focus on my outer corner or build up color in my outer V of my eye. So I'm going to use that shade again, that's four shades in, that one there, and I'm just going to try and build up my outer corner and my crease a little bit more. I don't want to go in with anything too dark yet. I tend to really like to build my lighter colors first, and then I go in with the darker shade before I put my shimmers on my lids. So now, as you guys know, I'm like ride or die Sigma brushes, but I have tried Morphe brushes. I've tried their really, really cheap ones. I've tried a set that it's black and white and it's like super cheap. I've tried their brushes that like all start with M, and I've also tried their Elite brushes. Now, their Elite brushes are actually amazing. I can't say anything bad about their Elite range. Their Elite range is beautiful. However, I do prefer Sigma brushes just because they have warranty, and I just feel like I've owned their brushes and never had a problem with any of them, and like the consistency of the quality of Sigma brushes is throughout their entire line, whilst Morphe's cheaper brushes I've had problems with. So I've had brushes in the cheaper range of their brush line shed, I've had handles fall off, and I've had like the dye come out of the bristles. Now, I wasn't overly surprised when it happened because they were super cheap brushes, and I feel like you can't expect a $5 brush to be the same quality as a $25 brush. Like, that's just logic. There's a reason why it's so much cheaper, and it's probably because it's not made as well. But like I said, their Elite brushes are incredible. So if you want to try their Elite brushes, they're the ones I would recommend. But like I said, Sigma first and foremost. Their brushes are my holy grail and favorite. That's why obviously I'm affiliated with them, because I love them, and they're actually the first brushes I ever purchased for myself. And even though I've purchased multiple other brands brushes after the fact, these are ones I always go back to. They're just so good, and like I said, I've never ever had problems with any of their brushes. And even if you did, they have a 2-year warranty. So if I was going to like spend bulk money on brushes, I would rather spend it with Sigma, just because I feel a little bit safer when it comes to like investing my money in their product. So I'm going to take the same brush and take this color on the third row, the second last one, that shade there, and start putting that on my outer corner. When I tap my brush into the color, I'm just tapping in lightly because I don't want too much pigment straight off the bat, because it's easier to like build shadows than it is to put too much pigment on and then like have to try and blend it out. I start by applying the shadow here on my outer V, and then I sort of blend it into my crease and blend it up onto my brow bone. Because I have hooded eyes, I like to blend my shadows up quite high onto my brow bone just to create the illusion of a bigger lid space. I'm just trying to use as many shadows as possible so I can like really get a feel on the pigmentation of them and the blendability of them, and see if it's like really consistent across the entire palette. So far it is. So far they all feel exactly the same and they blend exactly the same, which is nice. Great pigment, great blendability so far, so yay. Okay, next up I'm going to take the same brush and I'm going to take on the very last row this dark purple shade, and I'm going to start blending that in the same area I blended that previous shade. So I'm only picking up like the tiniest bit on my brush. Like when I show you guys, that's literally how much product I'm picking up. I like to go in with very small amounts and place it first and then blend. It also helps with fallout too. Like if you pick up too much pigment on your brush, you're going to have hectic fallout, and I already have all my face makeup on, so I don't want to have too much fallout. And also, if you dip into your pan too much, yeah, I've got no fallout at the moment, which is great. If you dip into your pan too harshly as well, you're going to get a lot of kickback, like just with shadows in general. So the lighter hand you have, the less messy it's going to be. Like it blended beautifully. And like, that's not much product as well, guys. So I think that's a testament to how pigmented it is that like I'm picking up the littlest amount of product and it's giving me that sort of color payoff. So that's amazing. I'm really happy with the mattes so far. The mattes are really nice, which is the same as like those single pan ones that I already own. They're all really nice, the mattes. Okay, so that's both eyes blended with the mattes. Now I'm going to put a shimmer on, but I will probably come back and darken up that outer V again after that because I usually always do. So I'm going to take my eye shading E55 brush and I'm going to try and pick up that beautiful purple shade here and put across my lid. So I've heard mixed things. I've heard mixed things about the shimmers. I'm hoping you can see. It doesn't look like much is picking up on the brush though, so no. I think I'm gonna have to use my fingers. So I tried to, I just stuck my elbow in it. I tried to dip my brush in like 3 times to pick up that shimmer and it didn't really pick it up. So I'm just gonna try use my finger, which is gonna be so hard because my nails are so long. But let's give it a go. Yeah, see on my finger it swatches really pigmented, but on the brush it did not pick it up. So I'm just gonna have to pick up my mirror to actually apply this. Okay, yeah, applying it with your finger is much better, but it's a little bit hard for me to apply shadows with my finger because of how long my nails are. I can't really get in around my eyes properly. This is tricky. Okay, let's try again with the brush. Okay, so that time I really pushed my brush in and I definitely picked up more product. So I'm just pressing it on my lid because I just really don't want fallout. No fallout yet, which is good. Oh, I picked up a lot of product that time. So obviously I needed to like buff the surface of that shadow because now I seem to be getting plenty of product on my brush. So you guys know how with some highlighters you have to kind of like scratch the surface to get like the really pigmented highlight. Maybe it was the same sort of sitch with that shadow. So just want to be so careful because I don't want to get purple shadow all over my cheeks. This is tedious work. Oh my God, I have a lot of under eye creasing today with my concealer. What the hell? So look, I got a fair bit of pigment on my lid, but it was not an easy feat, to be honest. I'm just gonna take my E25 brush in that matte dark purple shade and start building it up in my outer corner again. I'm just trying to blend the two together. Okay, so now taking my Sigma Exact Blend E32 brush, I'm going to do my lower lash line with the dark purple. Okay, so for my inner corner, I'm going to take my Sigma E46 inner corner brush. You guys, this brush has changed my life for inner corner highlight. It is literally amazing. So I'm going to take this beautiful pink shade and pop that on my inner corner. So I'm hoping it shows up on my eyes as pretty as it does in the pan. Now that's all coming together, I don't mind that shimmery shadow. Look, it's not like a Makeup Geek foiled shadow, but it is very pretty. It was just a little bit difficult for me to work with. I'm not like a makeup artist or some amazing makeup person, so I definitely need to play with it more because there could probably be 10,000 better ways for me to try apply it than what I was personally doing. So if you have any tips on how I can apply that a little bit more easily, let me know in the comment section because I'm definitely no expert. Yeah, that's really pretty, that pink. That's definitely nice and pigmented, showing up nicely in that inner corner. I'm going to really build it up on the inner corner and then blend it up onto the inner part of my inner corner as well, like where the purple shadow is. Kind of wish I had put that all over my lid, but I'll do that tomorrow. Definitely want to play with it some more. I think it's got some really pretty colors. So there you have it. So I'm just going to quickly jump off camera, put some liner and just some mascara on. Guys, I am back. Now I think obviously this eye makeup would look so beautiful with a set of lashes. I think it would make it sort of come together a lot more, but I just didn't want to put any on. So I hope you guys don't mind. But this is the finished look. Now first impressions, I think this is a really nice palette. Like I really don't have anything super negative to say about it. I feel like a lot of my critiques are simply personal opinions, not so much like bad things, if you get what I mean. So like the things I was saying about the packaging and stuff like that, like it doesn't make me not want to buy the product. And at the end of the day, what really counts is what the shadows are like. And I think the matte shadows in particular are beautiful. I definitely found that purple shade a little bit hard to work with initially, but I'm sure once I keep playing with it, I'll get a little bit better at it and I'll like it more and more. And then that pink shimmer shade is absolutely gorgeous. Tomorrow, I'm definitely going to do a really beautiful soft baby pink eye look and use those colors. So I'll update you guys in the description box on how that went as well. But overall, I really love it. Ultimately, I did purchase this palette because I am a massive Jaclyn Hill fan first and foremost. That's 110% why I got it, because I love her and I wanted to support her collaboration. But overall, I don't have any bad feelings really to Morphe either. Like their international shipping does drive me up the wall, I'm not gonna lie. Their international shipping I think is way too much, and I feel like I either need some justification on why it's that much, or they need to reevaluate what their shipping costs are, because honestly I would have purchased so much more Morphe shadows and makeup products if their shipping wasn't so expensive, but because it's so pricey I just don't bother. So they are definitely going to be restocking this. They've already said that. They haven't advised when yet, but I'm sure they will let us know soon. So that's super exciting. So if you're a Jaclyn Hill fan, or if you like Morphe shadows in general, I would recommend picking it up. I think it's a really pretty palette. It has some really beautiful shades, a really great mix of different like cool tone, warm tone, pink, purples, some little pops of color, and I just think it's a super gorgeous palette. So congratulations to Jaclyn and Morphe. I think ultimately you guys did a really good job. And yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, please do give me a massive thumbs up. It really helps me out. I'd love to know in the comments section, have you got the palette? What did you think of it? Are you going to get the palette? If you're not going to get the palette, why? I'd love to have the conversation below. So please do go ahead and get to commenting. I try and reply to every single comment you guys leave. And if you're a new face, welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by. Please do subscribe before you leave. And I think that's everything I have to say today. So thank you so very much for watching, guys, and I'll be talking to you all really soon. Bye.